On an unrelated note, I'm now recording this meeting.
Okay, thank you. Then we got witnesses if we start saying something. So, okay, so we want to try virtual meetings, and that's kind of what this meeting is about, is how do we deal with the ongoing pandemic? I know there's quite a few people that think it's kind of bunk and all that, but on the other hand, there's some of us that are old and decrepit and have even elderly folks staying with us, and it's kind of wouldn't be fun if we happened to carry something and carried it home to a loved one. So I want to make sure that we play safe as often as possible. And one of the ways we can do that is by doing these virtual meetings and our virtual public events. So my thought is, you guys, most of you, I think, have seen presentations I put together. I had some on, I've got one on the moon, I've got some on spectroscopy, I've got some on various other things, double stars. And I thought that that would be a good time that we could use a canned presentation and then let the people see the telescope in the dome, what it looks like. We can take the Rev 2 camera and carry it around the room and let them actually look at the telescope and see how it's set up and explain the parts to it again, and do that quickly because we don't want to keep on beating that into people that return month after month to see our events. But anyway, we can play that type of thing, and then we can do a live view. There's really nothing in the stars or in the sky right now, of course. So meetings would have to run later for public events, but they generally have to anyway because it's dark. But I can show them pictures of different things. So for instance, this is our current setup that we're using right now. And this, of course, we're in the Menke's Dome, and this mountain is the Orion HDX. And here's the edge. And what I did today is I mounted my solar scope, my Lunt 60 millimeter pressure tuned scope with my melon cam on it. And that's what we've got running right now. So last night, I actually had it in the back end of the scope and was doing some stuff with the Cigar Galaxy and Hercules cluster and that. And we can talk about a little bit of that later too. But this is what we've got set up right now. And unfortunately, the sun is not such a great thing right now. But what I did was I went ahead. We didn't do any type of alignment. I did slew to the sun and it came into the field of view, and I bounced it around a little bit to get it centered up. So we would be using Stellarium to tell customers what, or tell the public what we're viewing and how we're slewing to it, and they can watch that happen. And then this is actually the live image of what's going on in the sun right now. A light bulb. So. So anyway, when we do live view, we can slew to stuff and they can see the screen. I'm not all that crazy about how the melon cam's been working here lately. It took me about 3 hours to get the stupid thing running last night for some reason, and I don't know why that was. And then all of a sudden it kicked over and made all the images red, and I had all the lights off in here, so I don't know why that happened. But anyway, this is kind of an idea of what it could look like virtually over the internet. Is that what you would expect right now with the sun, with no activity going on?
More likely.
It's been spotless for it's been very, very inactive for a long time.
All I can see it. As boring for you as it is for me, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, June 27th is the next event, and it's a Menke open house. And Robert and I are going to be broadcasting from here. Robert, did you decide that it was okay to do the moon?
Yes.
So I believe we've got the moon out, and the melon cam does pretty good on the moon. I know how to set that up pretty well, so folks ought to be able to see the moon. And I think most of you had seen my presentation on the moon. And if you haven't, I can make that available to you, or we could show it again sometime. It has pre-recorded audio and video. And It talks about tides. It talks about Apollo and other spacecraft landing sites and where they're at. It talks about the seeds that were taken there and brought back and planted here on Earth for trees, and various other things about the moon. It's about a 15-minute long presentation. And the thought would be is typically decent hour, well, maybe 8 o'clock, depending on sunset, and start the meeting by showing them the telescope virtually, the park and what we do with it, and that type of thing. And then maybe running that presentation. And then by that time, it should be dark enough for them to actually look at the moon. And if we can available a download, yeah, I've got a PDF of the moon. I don't think I've got it on this computer handy. I should have got it ready. It shows all the landing spots of all the US and I don't think the China ones on US and Russian landing sites. And the thought would be is if people were here looking at the moon, they could take that picture and see where these landing sites are and pick out the general location. Of course, they're not going to see anything, but we can explain that too. So we can have a handout available for them on that. So that was the process of doing all these presentations, talking about the gear, talking about what we're going to be seeing, letting them see a presentation, and then going right into live view and run that until everybody, kind of dies out. So does anybody have any thoughts about that type of format for public events?
No?
Probably best to keep it simple for our first public try at this.
Yeah. So do the club members like that idea of doing it that way? I mean, does anybody think that's kind of dumb?
No?
And then, of course, on these public events, we can invite members, if it's a good night, to come out while we're doing this. And then after the meeting, they can stay and, do astronomy on their own. And depending on if we can figure out how to get this latency fixed, maybe we can even broadcast from the field some of the other folks' gear. So we'll have to see how that would work. I don't know how that would work, but it could be a cool thing.
Jeff, I'm just going to interrupt you here to point out that you can have as many people participate in this as you want. They don't have to be at the observatory. So you could have, if you're going to do public night, you could have the people setting up their gear wherever they're comfortable setting up their gear, and anybody could jump in and steal this presentation.
You're 1,000% right, because that's what you've been doing here all this time.
Yeah, buddy.
I think, yeah, go ahead, Matt.
That's what I've been saying, that we don't have to be, we're not locked to a centralized location at this point to do these sorts of things. Anybody who wanted to get involved or give some sort of a quick presentation, or even something a lot less formal. I mean, the whole notion of a presentation sounds kind of intimidating to a lot of people, including myself. But if anybody wants to basically, I mean, if we have a good night where you can set up, anybody could be set up wherever they want to, as long as they have a decent internet connection, then anybody could impromptu share what they're looking at. Like, I'm not trying to put Rusty on the spot, but dude, whatever you were doing the last night at Castle was sick. I mean, every one of those galaxies came in looking beautiful. Seriously though, like Al's setup that he had going on, that video feed, like gratification, like super quick. I mean, everything that I'm doing takes time. And like for me to get a shot, I'm looking at, a half-hour minimum of acquisition and then another 15 minutes of processing just to show people what I'm looking at. But everybody with these Rev 2s, Malin cams, EAA type stuff, don't necessarily all have to drive out to make it. You can save that hassle. And if we all got together and did it, then you could have a dual club public night event, whatever. You could have as many people as you want involved in it. So I would encourage you, if you're going to use a tool like WebEx,
Absolutely.
to think really big about what you could pull off. And you don't necessarily have to use like the stuffy, this is our night that we're doing a presentation about the moon sort of thing. Not saying there's anything wrong with that, but it's a good opportunity to move forward and practice astronomy outreach in, I don't know, in the new world, man, the new normal. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Matt. It doesn't have to be formal presentations, and I definitely wouldn't expect anybody else to do anything formal. I guess I was thinking more of the type of public that, you know, where they would normally come out and just look at through the telescope and ooh and ah. But you're absolutely right. If anybody that wanted to participate in the club set up their gear and we just kind of showed what we had going on, people would ooh and ah about that without spending hours and hours and hours making a presentation and trying to hold to a script. So you're absolutely right. So I think for me that this one coming up, it was kind of a sense of security, knowing that I didn't have to fill some dead air with some knowledge, you know, that I just have something for people to hear and see what we had planned for them. So yeah, but yeah, and we can even do that this coming the 27th if anybody wanted to set up their gear here or at their homes. Feel free to do so because we don't have to have a formalized public event. I just didn't know how else to handle it. So great idea. Thank you.
Well, as you say, Jeff, we'll probably be starting this well before it gets dark, and guided tours of the observatory can only take up so much time. So it's
Yeah.
handy to at least have a presentation at least handy, just in case we do need some time filler.
Well, there's no reason we can't do both. It doesn't get dark till o'clock. And I have my doubts, you know, people don't want to drive out here at 9 o'clock at night in the first place. And I don't know how they would feel about even logging in 9 o'clock at night. So if we had something for them that was interesting and they could get some information out of earlier, you know, like a canned presentation, and even, you know, even with the ugly sun going on, which I don't know where it went. Oh, it went down.
That needs to be our next project. Get the dome computer controlled too. Did it go behind a cloud?
It should be there anyway, even if it's behind the cloud.
Uh,
Later.
hmm. Well, wait a minute. I see something. There it is.
Yay! It's back.
Man, look how fast I have to have the exposure is 1/120th of a second. So yeah, behind the clouds and stuff, but at any at some point we could show things like Venus during the day and Mercury a lot of times towards sunset is visible. Depending on when the event is, we can determine what we want to show earlier. But I like to get people interested earlier so that they're more apt to stay late and see some cool stuff. That was kind of the concept there. Where are my pictures? So I'm not going to show a lot of stuff here. We're still pretty new to the Melon Cam, and I've been playing around with it. The last time I played around with it was probably about a year ago, and so it was kind of an experience just trying to get some stuff. But I've got some shots of the cigar galaxy that are just screaming.
Hmm.
Uh,
Is that an irregular galaxy?
It's what we call a
it is-
starburst galaxy. It recently collided, interacted with another galaxy, and what you're seeing there is the distortion caused by that encounter.
I see.
well, I'm not stacking or anything or didn't do anything at all. It's just
That's pretty nice.
live, so that, something bad for public to see.
Nope.
Are those the true colors of the stars around it?
There's a lot of hot pixels in here.
Oh,
And then I'm like I said, I'm really a novice at this, so I know I don't have everything set up as it should be. Hercules cluster.
nice.
Well, not imaging great or anything, but again, virtually, and you can't look through an eyepiece. Rusty and Terry are the old masters at this, so could probably use their help a lot in setting this stuff up too. And then the only other one I did was the Ring Nebula.
That's pretty.
Yes.
And you can start in the center at least, so
Mm-hmm.
most time tweaking around them. So it can do all right if you know what I'm doing. So I figure by the time I do all these public events, I'll learn my equipment after having it many years. And then is Paul on the meeting?
Paul, let me see. Paul Levesque. Paul Levesque. No Paul Seeger. No Paul Seeger.
Paul couldn't make it up last night, and he wanted, but he did set up at home. And this is the he used his house last night. I think that he's used it a few times, but I think this is the first time he's really done some imaging with it. And he sent me this one pic earlier through a text message.
Ooh.
That's pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
he said imaging for a while and finally gave up because he thought all his subs were really bad because of all the wind. And he said he didn't know until this morning that he even got any data whatsoever. So, this is a great job. He's really good at all of it, but he's got some decent gear and he's learning how to use it properly. And no small thanks to Matt there, because I know Matt and Paul have been getting together virtually and learning this stuff. And the same thing with John Baker. The three of them have been doing a ton of work, and it's awesome to see happen. And then I know we've got Rusty here. Rolando was here too last night, and he set up his scope. He bought this new, it's an Ioptron mount. I wish I took a better picture of it. But at any rate, I think it's a 30, a SEM 30. And it is 127 millimeter Explorer Scientific. It was at 127 also. At any rate, Rolando was having some trouble with doing some alignments. So, because it's a new mount, of course, so he didn't do it as he wanted to last night. but I think he bought a new camera. Rolando on the line?
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay. I'm not seeing on the screen, so for some reason I thought you were gone. You want to talk about your new gear and what you got going on?
Well, like you said, I'm still learning the Ioptron because it's got GPS built into it. It's got its own polar scope or polar alignment in it, and I'm just playing around with that. Yeah, like I said, last night I was having trouble aligning. I was just doing the 2-star alignment. I didn't do a polar alignment, so it wouldn't skew to the correct location. I kept having to adjust the location by tapping on the controller. It's going to take some time, I guess.
Yeah. And the more you use it, the more adept you'll get at it too. But it is a pretty setup. And then you have a camera. I guess you got a new camera?
I got the what is it? I just say ATEC Horizon 2, but I haven't tried that either. So that's something else I have to get used to. Now that I'm retired, I probably have plenty of time.
Cool.
And like I
Okay,
told
let me
Scott,
see.
Better luck than I do, Rolando.
what's that?
I hope you have better luck than I do finding time.
I'm gonna try to go out tonight in the backyard and fool around.
Have a line party and mess around with the scopes and figure out the best way to get them aligned. Let's see what else we got here. Then we got this guy here. Anybody recognize?
Hmm.
So Terry,
Yeah.
I got some of your pictures, and I've got. You want to talk about your gear because you've been spending a ton of money on stuff too and getting all set up. You want to talk about what you got going on?
Yeah, I've made some changes. I got a new camera. It's a ZWO ASI 294. I didn't get the cooled version. I just got the standard version. And I was choosing between that and the ATEC Infinity. I realized that, or I found out ZWO has developed some software similar to what ATEC is using, and it's really easy to use for me. So I went with the ZWO camera. I also added a wedge to my telescope, and I found out that because of the weight of the wedge, it adds so much weight to the telescope. It's really, really stable now, even in winds. So it adds about 30 pounds to the whole setup and stuff. And then I'm still trying to figure out equatorial alignment. I actually got a really good alignment last night. It was less than a quarter of a degree off, and that allowed me to take some really good pictures. Stacking and actually I got one picture almost 8 or 9 minutes, I think. Yeah, that's M3. I stacked looks like 11 frames at 30 seconds, so that's 330-second exposure. And that was actually one of my best globulars yet so far. So I've also learned to because of the high resolution of this camera, I zoom in on a star at the beginning and really do my focusing that way now.
Cool.
Yes. This is M8. Now, it was not very high above the horizon, and it was towards the Davenport glow. And it's one of the last pictures I took. I just wanted to see if I could actually get it to show up. I think it's 33, it's only 33 frames at 5 seconds, so it's only almost like a 2-minute shot. But I wanted to see how it would come out. And it actually didn't come out too bad.
Yeah, for 5-second exposures, my gosh.
Yeah, and this is like, towards the Davenport glow. So the software, the new software from ZWO, it also has what is that box checked? It has a box that you check to get rid of background clutter, and it actually does make a difference.
Cool. See what else you got here.
I don't know, that picture reminds me of something from the Jetsons. I don't know why. Yeah, this is about a 4-minute shot of was it 440-second shot? Now these are 10-second stacked 44 frames of the Omega Nebula. And I was really happy because it's actually the first time actually the camera's really been working correctly.
M20.
And the Trifid's 46 frames. Yeah, this is about almost 3 minutes, I think. Now this new software, you can do live stacking, or live view. You can also do live stacking. It also has a section for deep sky photography. I have not checked into that yet. And it has a section for planetary photography. I really haven't used that yet. I kind of prefer fire capture for my planetary photography. I also
Hey Terry, did you do any processing on this?
What's that?
Pictures, or is this just straight from the camera?
I do a little bit of processing to clean up the background. I actually use PaintShop Pro to clean up the background.
You search this picture, you probably get a lot more out of it.
Probably. The software I use is not very good, Sam, but you're probably right. If I have better software, I could probably clean it up even more.
Yeah, if you stretch it, you probably get a lot more to the brightness on it.
I may have to splurge for Photoshop.
What else you got here? 90.
Yeah, I did a lot of galaxies last night too. This is M90, 80 frames at 10 seconds a frame. So this is 800 seconds. It's about 7 minutes.
Cool.
It's not really one.
In here.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether you guys noticed, but up here in the top left-hand corner, he has what the name of the object is, how many frames he took, and how long the subs were in the binning. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
Now this is one of the longest one. M94 was 14 frames at 30 seconds. And I'm pretty happy with that because it wasn't really dropping any frames. So I must have had a really good alignment or something.
Harry, is that software that you're talking about? Is that software you're talking about dedicated to cameras that will work with any camera?
Jeff, as far as I don't know, but I kind of suspect it's just for ZWO. I think they're trying to come up with competition for Sharp Cap. And trust me, the first version they came out with in January was not really very usable. In fact, you had a hard time saving even an image. This new version just came out at the end of May. It's free software. I mean, you could try it with your camera and see if it works. I kind of like this one because actually, go ahead.
I'm gonna say I've got video cameras too, but it sounds like software that I'd like to try with other cameras.
Oh, it's 25 frames at 30 seconds each frame. I thought I got some.
Cool.
Now I do use the camera at full resolution, which I think is 4,000 by 2,000 or something like that. And then I kind of just zoom into the object. This one's kind of long too, 23 frames at 30 seconds.
Nice.
And see, the stars are actually kind of round, so I kind of suspect I was actually tracking pretty good.
And the last one.
Six. Oh, yeah. I think next time I set up, I'm going to even try some longer exposures. I mean, I really was starting to get some detail at the end. So.
Yeah, they came out really nice.
Thank you.
Hey, Matt.
See if I got anything else in here.
Yo,
That I might see if I can try and see if I can share these images I took out at Castle the other night too.
Yeah, you had some really good ones, Rusty.
yeah, they were sweet.
Do I have to stop sharing for Rusty to be share his?
Yeah, I believe so. And then Rusty, just kind of like wiggle your mouse on the screen until you see all the bubbles come up on the bottom. The third one over is shared content, so you can steal the screen.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. All right. I don't see the. Oh, there they are. All right. Share content.
You
That
got
one.
it.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Easiest if you do share screen. Oh, all right. No, I don't see the share screen. Well, you have to click on share content. Okay. And then it'll open up a menu and then another pop-up window with several options in there. Okay. And if you see screen one, try that one. Yeah. That's it.
There you go.
All right. This is M106.
That was my request.
There's that one. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And that's because
Ready?
that's only wiggling because I kicked Rusty's tripod.
Yes, he did.
Well,
I got that one.
the star trails.
Yeah, just a little bit. And here's M99. I don't know what the little wiggling stuff in there is. I think it was just where it was at.
Is this a video?
Oh, this is
Yeah,
it.
they're all videos. I haven't had a chance to do anything with them. I got to get the something to be able to stack them just into a single image. Oh yeah, this one didn't come out. I don't know what the heck going on with that.
That one looks scary.
That's Space Invaders.
There's a sombrero.
Mhm.
Cool.
Another one of the sombrero.
Yeah. Well, it's an upside down sombrero.
Yeah.
Mm.
Looks nice though.
Right side up in space. What does it matter?
Just an up
Yeah,
down
used to-
sombrero and umbrella.
Where's the
This
woman
was-
is having a problem?
Yeah. This was what, M98? It went clear out all around here.
That's neat.
Yeah, I think I got one more. Oh yeah, M51.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's nice.
Beautiful.
Not really nice.
Those were all taken with the R2.
Yeah, there's a lot of detail in the core there.
Both cores.
Yeah. So that's how that was what I had the other night.
Cool.
That's really great. All of them are.
Yeah. Okay, so now how do I get out of this?
I'll go to the top of your screen and
Oh, there it is.
I think,
Stop sharing.
yes.
There you go.
Okay.
Hey, Alan,
Yeah.
do you have anything that you wanted to show from when you guys went out to a castle?
Yeah, I can do that.
Where is Cal?
It's south of Milan. So we've had a couple of sessions here. And let me see. Are you seeing this?
Yep.
Yes.
So this was the 29th of May, I think it was. And a lot of times you guys talk about new gear. Well, of course, here's the group. So there's myself, John Douglas, Terry Dufek, Dale Hatchell, Steve Sinkson, Waylon Bauer, and Rusty Case over here. And the new gear is our telescope here. This is the 1100 HD that we're going to put in our Castle Observatory. And we've been playing with that here, getting used to that. And that's the group again. And Steve Sinkson is sitting down there looking in the telescope. That's a telescope there that we used to have in the Castle Observatory. That's a 6-inch f12 astrophysics refractor.
And Steve bought that, and he's done quite a bit of work on it and gotten it refurbished. He took it up to Astrophysics, and they recoded or refinished the objective lens. And I've had a chance to look through it now on a couple of occasions when he's come out and set up like this, and it is really unbelievable what you can see with that, looking at things like double stars. When you look at the double, for example, you can easily split the doubles even at with a low power eyepiece, and the star images are just tiny little pinpoints. So I think he's pretty happy with the setup there, but there's your scope that we used to have there, and over here, like I say, is the scope we're going to be putting in our observatory. And I think this, you see over here just to the right there of Wayland, that's my telescope, which is a 10-inch LX200. And then this telescope here is one that was donated to the club. It belongs now to John Douglas, who you see here. This is a 10-inch. It's a homemade 10-inch Dobsonian, and we really got some neat visual views of like M13 and double stars and things at night as well. And you can see Dale Hatchell over here is using one of the club telescopes. This is a 7-inch Max Tau LX200 that the club owns. And now I took some pictures through my scope just using my Nikon D7500 SLR camera. So these are like 30-second time exposures. This is M3. This is M13. So these are all shot at a focal length of 2,500 millimeters. Here's Dumbbell Nebula. I think we had a bright moon that night, so some of these images have some background light, but it didn't turn out too bad. Here's M92. And here's a double star that we looked at. This is Zeta Lyrae. So that was May 29th, and then we had another observing session. Let's see. I think it was May 12th or June 12th. So here's a group we had. This is a Castle Observatory, and as you can see, our observatory has been disassembled, and we're in the process of rebuilding it right now behind the group here. But we got Waylon Bauer here, Dale Hatchell, Steve Sinkson again with his scope. I think he's always going to be the winner of having the biggest telescope at every, at least the tallest telescope at every observing session. And we got Byron Davies here, and Matt Nielsen, and Rusty, Terry, and myself. And I got a picture here of Matt's setup. That's kind of a interesting setup there. I think Matt, correct me, that's a 8-inch, what is it, f4.5?
I mean, it's billed at f3.9, but I just call it an f4.
An f4, yeah. And Byron, I think yours is what, a 6-inch? Is Byron on? I don't know if Byron's on or not.
No, I don't think he's on now.
Okay.
I have the same scope that he does, though. It's a 152 f6.5. They're 6-inch doublet.
Nope.
So, I mean, we had a really nice array of telescopes out there. And then here's a few pictures that I snapped. You know, these are all like 30-second time exposures, just one image. This is M5. This is M9 with satellite.
That nine, I mean, Al, I looked at that. That actually is a nice rich field of stars.
Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of stars there. And, you know, the satellites are much maligned, but sometimes that adds some interest to the picture too. But M9, I think that's the first time I've looked at M9,
Yeah.
but
I don't think I've seen that before until you said something about there, Knight.
yeah, it's a fairly small globular compared to, you know, M13, for example. At M13, it just really is in your face, bright and big.
Hmm.
And this is my attempt at M51. And this one's kind of a stretch, but M83, the southern pinwheel, you can kind of see it here a little bit. That's kind of pushing the ability of my system to get a good image at you know, 1/32 time exposure. Probably take a lot more than that to really bring it out. Here's M92 again, and then this is M102, the spindle galaxy. And I thought this was pretty cool. You can clearly see like a dust lane right in the center of it there. Kind of interesting.
M102.
Cool objects out there. And then just before conditions really degraded drastically there, I got a picture of Saturn.
Ooh.
And this is a 5-second time exposure. I think the ISO was probably about 16,000. And it was pretty low to the horizon. I think we're going to get better views of Saturn, you know, in the coming weeks and months here this summer. But you can clearly check out brighter moons. And you can see that. You can even see Enceladus right where it's supposed to be. And I don't think I have any other observing sessions photos myself. I've got lots of pictures of our rebuild project, but I don't want to over dominate your meeting here too much. You want to see what we're
Yeah,
doing
we'll probably hit you. We'll probably hit you guys up when we start the thing too.
Okay.
Cool.
Let's see. I need to stop sharing.
And Jim and Mike Umbrella, are you guys both in town?
This is Jim. Yes, I'm in town. Pretty much been maintaining a low profile, I guess.
We got in, Jeff, about 2 o'clock Sunday morning.
Yeah, that's the thing. I put it on the Facebook page, but I don't know whether I've got it here. Did you have that picture that you sent me that you wanted to share?
Well, I don't know. I can try getting it on his iPad here.
If you, saved it to my phone. There it is. Somebody, I'm getting some feedback. File. Yeah, I can share it. No one can see my screen.
Starting. Yes. Hmm.
I was taking about 5:30 Saturday morning when we were leaving Florida. We're about 60 miles from Cape Canaveral. That's the Falcon 9. The glow off the Falcon 9 is it's lowering itself down onto the drone ship.
Nice.
You know, I was driving and she was looking out the window and she thought it was a UFO. Finally, we pulled over and I stuck my phone up there and took a picture of it. But we finally, I mean, after we got an opportunity, I guess it was after, sometime after lunch, and we started doing searching. We found out it was one of the SpaceX. They were sending up another 58 satellites or whatever. That was the rocket itself on its downward trajectory going into the drone to land.
That's very cool, Mike.
Yep.
That's really cool. What do you know really what you're seeing here? Is it exhaust gases given off by the rocket engines, or what is it actually that you're seeing?
If you look at it, Jim, you see up in the upper left of the glow, you can see like a little bit of the orange color.
Yep.
And all the rest of it is gas or whatever.
And how is
you
it
really
being
can't.
illuminated?
All we're seeing is just light, because, like I said, we were about 60 miles from Cape Canaveral, so that, I mean, we're quite a ways away from that. So to try and see if you could see the rocket, there's no way I can see it in there, especially on an iPhone.
Have you ever
Has
been?
anybody else been doing anything? Jim, have you been doing anything down south?
I did go to the Winter Star Party in February. Had a nice time there. Got together with Bill Myers and Roger Anderson, who had been to the Eastern Iowa Star Party a couple of years ago.
So was the Winter Star Party with quite a bit of good attendance, or when was that? Was it pre-corona?
Yeah, so it was mid-February. We had a lot of clear weather. I think the last night was windy and cloudy, but prior to that, we had good nights. You know, there's still the Boy Scout camp suffered from a hurricane a couple of years ago and pretty much wiped it out. Any of the facilities. I'm sorry, Girl Scout camp, which has been the traditional place to hold that star party. There's a Boy Scout camp on the other portion of the island, and the Boy Scouts have been generous enough to let the last 2 years the star party be occurred on both their side and the girl side. There's plenty of room. It's a little more spread out than it has been in the past. I think attendance has been down maybe 350 people compared to the 500 in the past, but it's a good time and a nice place to go, and cold and northern climates, and happen to have really good weather. So other than that, the observing in Florida was this year, I think, a little more cloudy and rainy weather. I've joined a couple other organizations down One's kind of an informal group, get together. One of the members has, a 5-acre little ranchette, and it's probably one of the darker places of Florida, kind of in the center of the state, away from a lot of the lights. And I think, unfortunately, I had about one star party before I had to leave because of the coronavirus.
Anybody else have anything to share other than I've got a few more things?
No.
Okay. Things up. Of course, about me going up with Mike Umbrella to buy a dome, and this is the son of the previous owner. So my trials and tribulations lately have been trying to figure out how to get a pier for this thing. And the companies I've been looking to, I have to have one custom made for the height I want. They haven't been very responsive about giving me some ideas. So I'm going to work with Rusty a little bit to see if we can get it figured out. But this is my dome over at the other guy's place. I didn't load the picture. But you can kind of see how this I kind of down this way. I estimated here to be about 6 foot. So looking at this other pic I had up, calculation for the pier I want, I'm not going to have concrete like we do here at Mackey. So I need something to ground up to the mount. 72 inches. That means it has to be about 54 inches. And I'm thinking with that look that's on that top, I might need it as tall as 66 inches. So that's kind of been a pain in my side trying to figure out how to get a pier built for that. So as soon as I find one, get that settled down, probably go ahead and auger down frost concrete and pour a little slab and then ice the slab for the whole dome. And it'll probably be like a 12-foot by 12-foot slab. And the little centerpiece might be, 14 to 20 inches around down here that I can mount this pier to. So that's kind of been some things I've been kind of looking at doing.
Yeah.
So lastly, I did want to talk a little bit about Eastern Iowa Star Party this year. And I haven't had a board meeting to discuss it, but I think I would throw it out to the membership how I'm thinking about handling it. I don't know that we really need to, but I really want to strip it down and make it a lot easier to deal with and a lot safer. Depending on how everything is in September, we might make it so that it is smaller, not try to get 50 people here at all. I don't know what the right number is, probably between 10 and 20 people maximum. In the building, we would keep probably only 2 people at a time and require masks as we're doing now. And probably not do any kind of midnight chili or that kind of thing. Again, for, that nobody gets sick from anything. I still think maybe some munchies here because they're all singly packaged and wrapped. And same thing maybe with beverages, since they're, sealed cans and bottles. So doing that type of thing. So I don't think that we will have any door prizes this year because with the virus, a lot of dealers and vendors have been hard pressed to keep their businesses going. So the thought might be is have it be small, just have some munchies available and go from there. Does have an input?
Masks. What are we going to decide about? We're definitely going to be wearing masks inside. And There's been a lot of debate about whether or not we need to wear masks outside as well. I myself am leaning toward yes for that. So I've been in touch with St. Ambrose University, getting some input on the guidelines that we were discussing for using the observatories, and they are very much in favor of wearing masks both inside and outside. And I myself agree with the policy. I know it'll be uncomfortable for a number of people, but given that the pandemic is far from being over, and I do think that it is the safest policy. Does anybody have
I don't know exactly.
anybody have anything to discuss about that? Didn't mean to step on your toes there, Jeff, but
No, that's, does anybody have any strong opinions on wearing masks when they're outdoors?
I hate them, period. They fog my glasses up and I cannot see.
Yeah, I
they
don't,
do the same thing to me as well. I mean, I understand your frustration.
I don't see why it's necessary if we're outside personally, but
I don't either.
I really don't see a need for them outside either.
Yeah. I mean,
The inside's a whole different animal, you know. It's all recirculated in one spot, but outside, I don't see a need.
Yeah, I agree with that. If you're inside an observatory or in a building where you're kind of in close contact with people, I think you need to protect yourself as well as others that are nearby. But if you're outside and I don't know what your spacing is here, but you know, the requirement is what, 6 feet or more between people, and
Yes.
if you're maintaining wide spacing. And I think the other big factor would be, you know, if people are looking through eyepieces, I think there's more risk. There's probably more risk of that than there is, you know, not wearing a mask. If people are touching equipment and looking through telescopes and interchanging that way, what are your thoughts about that?
So if I can barge in on that, what about only if we're walking around approaching people?
As they say, the social distancing distance should be 6 feet. I say if you're going to be talking to each other like as close as 6 feet apart, at least keep the mask handy.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. If you're out there, I mean, if you're out there and observing, using your equipment, and there isn't anybody nearby, why would you need to wear a mask for that? But if you're going to come up to somebody and look through their equipment and that, then maybe you're in closer contact, you would need a mask then.
Yes, at least wear the mask for interaction with other people.
Yes.
yeah, that would be understandable.
Everybody good if we, was everybody good with that, that the only time you have to wear a mask outside is when you're interacting with others?
I'd be okay with that.
Yep.
Yeah, it sounds reasonable to me. The other thing is, you know, the Star Party is almost 3 months away, and the situation can be different then. It might be better or it might be worse. And so you know, if you say you're going to take a pretty conservative approach with wearing masks and maybe a month in advance, you reevaluate and, you know, make an updated position too.
Now,
we
I'm
can keep.
thinking,
Sorry.
I'm thinking that maybe not sharing gear might be a best practice.
Yeah. Well, you know, guys like me and Terry, we've got, you know, the cameras. You don't have to touch anything to look at ours. Just come
Yeah,
over
I
and look
don't
at the,
consider that sharing. I'm thinking about you going up and you looking through somebody's.
that's true. Exactly.
Mhm.
Info restricted that.
I mean, how many people put their eye right up, practically touching the eyepiece when they're looking through it? You don't want somebody else doing that to your eyepiece. Not if there's not.
The IP. If you cover the IP.
Yeah, I'm
So
not crazy
covering the
about
eyepiece
using
with
any kind of
saran wrap.
saran wrap on my eyepieces. Got some $800 eyepieces. Got some $800 pieces, and the last thing I want to do is through cellophane looking through those.
Hmm.
So anyway, masks inside, masks outside your approach people. I'm still thinking, don't share eyepieces, don't look through each other's gear. The EAA is fine where you've got a monitor, that's not a problem. Now for the number of people, this is basically, our field is a little bit bigger than this, I think now. But I'm thinking that we've been setting this up so that we can get between 45 and 50 people out there. I'm thinking about like 16. Anybody have any thoughts on that?
How are we going to do that? Are we just like keeping only alternate spaces? You know, like in
Yes.
restaurants or classes, they'd remove every other chair or such.
Those
Yeah.
Yeah.
spaces, Jeff, I think are 10 by 40, right?
Line everything as we do here. Maybe we'll line every other one. Maybe this will be one, and this will be one. And maybe this one won't even be here, and we'll have this be one. So we'll spread them out so that from border to border, there's a 6 foot plus whatever they've got inside. And we could just have people on the perimeter like this, and maybe a couple.
Hmm.
Well, I think, Jeff, if we're gonna have 15 people, 20 people at the most, whatever, maybe all you end up doing is just putting an X on the ground that, okay, here's around where your scope is, and just keep those things 15, 20 foot apart. People can set their tents and vehicles up around it then.
That's perfect.
I mean, we don't really have to line the whole thing off for that few people. We can probably just designate areas where, okay, this is your primary area, if you will.
Yep, and we can work out those details. Does that a number of people sound about right?
I counted with every other one, and it came out to be about 16.
And we've got more ground than this picture shows too.
Hmm.
I would think maybe you could accommodate 20, a little bit more.
When we marked it off last year, Jeff, we had just short of 50 players.
Okay, so you think we want to push it to 20?
Well, I mean, if we're going to go down that road, I would say you put a cap on it for 20 and let's see how many show up. How many people register? We may only get about 10, 15 that even decide to go.
Right.
I mean, we're going to have other challenges too for people out of town. Jeff, they're going to places to eat and everything else is just. I don't know how people are going to feel about going in the restaurants and stuff.
Well, I think a lot of them will probably bring their own stuff to eat in a cooler and maybe a grill or something.
Yeah, I'll have my camper at home.
So then, do we want to charge anything for this year? We'll probably have no guest speakers. We'll have no prizes. We'll have no meal. We'll have munchies and drinks by donation. We want to charge for electricity or just let it be free?
Hmm.
I don't see how you can charge for it. I mean, it's pretty restricted.
Yeah.
You don't have any expenses, do you?
Should we still charge for electricity?
That's negligible. It's some labor on our part. It had to have
Box from
a
last
bit
year,
of
you mean?
income off of it. A little bit of money coming in so that we can have some money put into our fund. But also for donations. I know before we started charging, we did pretty well with people just donating money for munchies in the midnight chili, but doing the midnight chili, but I can still see us making a few bucks on it, even by donation.
At least put the donation box in, yes.
I think that's probably the best middle ground is just to, say we decided not to charge this year, but, donations are appreciated.
Yep.
That part of it, so I think we've got a good idea on what the membership is about this. Please feel free to email information, and our next board meeting, we'll go ahead and outline how we want to handle it. Chances are we will open this up to Quad City Astronomical Society and give them a week or so to a week to 2 weeks to pre-register. And then I will open it up to previous guests that have shown up. And we'll cap it probably at 20. And we'll Does that sound like a plan?
Sounds good.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I don't know whether I want to open. So we'll talk a little bit about the observatory relocation and some trials and tribulations with that. The pandemic has not been kind to us. A lot of are not as well financially as they were, so donations are going to be a lot rougher. and people are donating time. You know, there are a lot of contractors are scurrying around trying to pick up jobs to make up for what they had stopped. So, that's kind of another thing, but we'll talk more about that next month. So, does anybody else have anything they want to add? Hey, Jason, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Pictures that you wanted to share, because I know you've had some gear out and stuff. I know you've been doing working on Jupiter a bit.
No, I would say my photos have turned out less than acceptable. Unfortunately, I'm definitely still learning on that part of this. So hopefully next month I'll have something better to share.
We're all here
Like a true
for you, and
astrophotographer there.
you know, yeah,
I appreciate
it might
that.
be a good time. It could be a good thing for you to join in on some of these events that Matt's been throwing virtually.
Been having some Wi-Fi issues with the scope out in the yard, so I'm hoping to get that fixed and actually be able to join in next time. The last 2 times I tried it, it did not go very well. So
I can show you guys all the ill-advised stuff I've been trying to do this year.
Ill-advised.
Okay, that'd be great.
I do have a question for you, Matt.
Go for it.
What's you were talking about a stacking program for a video when we were out at Paul Castle. What was those? You named a couple of them. What were those again?
I'll be shooting like AVIs specifically, Registacks and auto stackered.
Registack?
Yeah, Registacks would probably be better in your case because you're shooting like extended objects. So auto stackered is gonna have trouble with things that aren't that sharp, and your images aren't, because they're coming in on that R2. They're not super sharp. So I think auto stacker would probably not be happy with your images, but
all right. So you're looking at
Registacks might be able to
Registacks.
pull it off.
Okay.
Or honestly, like any because your stuff is coming out as AVIs, so anything that'll stack JPEGs would work. There's stuff on the internet I can't think of right now because I don't use it, but anything that stacks JPEGs would work.
Okay. I'll see what I can find.
Sky stacker.
That deep sky stacker might stack a JPEG. So this should be sharing right now. Let me know if you can see it.
Yes.
Yep.
So this is just Lightroom. None of these pictures are done because they'll never be done because they were just all experiments. This is during the full moon, M106. Rusty will recognize this. That's why I kind of wanted to see what the Rev 2 would do with this guy. So this is like the raw data, like crushing the background sky to make it dark. Well, doing that during the full moon is a terrible idea because the background sky is not dark. So this is letting some of the moonlight through, and then you can start to see the extension of the galaxy here. I don't know how well this is showing up on WebEx right now. It's not that big a deal. But there's another galaxy that pokes in up here. There's one here, 2 here, 1 here. So then the heck with it, we'll just drop it into monochrome and stretch the heck out of it. And then you actually can get like detail going on, you know, and a lot more galaxies. There's all kinds of weirdness in here. So yeah, this is my first ill-advised thing. Don't try to shoot galaxies during the full moon. Stupid. Same night, Leo Trio. Same problem. Like it's too much moon glow. Can't kill it. I mean, they're there, but they'll never look good. M51, once again, same problem. This one is better because I just cropped all that out, so it kind of looks like what you guys get with your live stacking stuff. That one's not so horrible. M13, same thing. It looks way better once I just take all the color out of it because the background sky is just so ugly. But most of what I've been doing this year is monkeying around with this filter, this Optilong L Enhance.
Actually,
And,
M13, excuse me, but M13 looked pretty nice, and so does this. Yeah.
Yeah, this, because there's no color in it. When you could still see the colors of the stars, then just the amount of noise and everything in the background was really bad. So knocking this into grayscale, it looks a ton better.
Okay.
Yeah, this one is not in grayscale. So the hardest thing with this Optilong L Enhance so far has been getting the color channels right. So I've made a few different attempts, like like at the stack, to try to change the channels. So there's a couple of different ways that it played out. This one looks pretty purple. I mean, there's a lot of detail here, but it looks really purple. This one, the background sky is not as bad, but it's like everything's gray. This is almost a green. And I think if you look at Paul's image from earlier that he shot of this, he had the same green thing going on. So there's got to be some way to get that L Enhance to produce decent color. Just haven't found it yet. And then
For sure, a lot of detail in there.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, this is probably 3 hours worth of exposure on this. Then, yeah, last night, Jim and I were on, and I was borrowing the Baker's camera. So the exact same object, except with a full frame camera. It brings in Pickering's triangle up here. I mean, the field of view is so much bigger. This looks pretty bad because found out today, like, that John had like the automatic noise reduction and dark subtraction turned on his camera. So there's all of this extra gobbledygook in here because Kevin was trying to correct every one of the frames. Trying that again this week without those on, and I think it'll end up with a lot cleaner background than this. I mean, it's pretty crunchy.
Is that why the download speed was so slow?
I was actually taking a dark after it took the picture. That's why it was sitting there for another 2 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was painful. I wish I would have thought of that last night. These are what I shot out at Castle. So this is the Trifid. This is like I crushed the black, but I lost the blue, like that part of the Trifid. Terry put up a good Trifid earlier. There's lots of blue in here. So actually, while you guys were looking at images earlier, I threw this back into Photoshop and restretched it. So now I at least have blue here. So the detail's there, but you could tell that it's exposing the red way too much compared to the blue. So it's another consideration. And this is Lagoon from out there at Castle. Lots of detail in there. So far, monkeying around with this Optilong L Enhance filter, there's only one image I got right, and it's not this one. But this was the first crap that I took processing my Crescent Nebula. I went back and like monkeyed around with the channels and then came up with this. It's way better. So here you got all the nice red in the background. I think a lot of this is light coming in. It's hitting the inner lip of my scope from a street light that's down the way. But this is like the first one that could say I'm kind of happy with so far this year. So there you go. That's all the crud I've been doing.
You all look really good, Matt.
Yeah, they're all good starts. I'd put it that way.
So your L Enhance is on a color sensor, right?
Yeah, they're full color Canon DSLRs, everything that I've been shooting through. I try to use a custom white balance to get it fixed. And I had been shooting with an Astronomic city light suppressor, and that one I could completely fix with the custom white balance, but the Optilong is so weird. It actually suppresses literally all yellow light. So it's a tint adjustment that I can't figure out how to get to get nice correct colors in the raw.
Very cool, though. I'm glad you shared that. So, does anybody else have any stuff that they want to talk about or share? With that being said, I think that's we have this scheduled for. Officially, I can get a motion from somebody to adjourn.
I found.
Motion to adjourn.
I guess I'll second it.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Send some emails with anything you wanted to add to anything we talked about tonight or today, and especially the Eastern Iowa Star Party and how to handle that. So we want to get that lined up. I got to get that advertised. No Village Inn tonight, and thank you very much, and we'll catch you all later.
Hey, Jeff? Jeff,
Yes,
Jeff, give me a call when we get all done here.
Is it Rusty?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Good night, all.
good night.
Good night.